Let's take a look at another report. Back to all reports, back to sales, vital signs. This is a report that we really like. We're quite proud of this one, and I think it will provide for you a tremendous amount of information. This one is the vital signs by service category with a previous year comparison. Double click on the report. It's asking me here, do I want to open a new window or do I want to lay it over the existing report? Okay, so I'm going to open it up in a new window, which retains my previous report in this one. Always set your date range. We're going to stay focused on last month, although you can look at any period of time, and let's execute the report. Now this one really brings forward a lot of information. Just to kind of give you a summary, by category, I'm going to see my part sales for last month this year, my part sales for the same month last year, any differences in the dollars, and then a percentage difference. How much did I improve? And you're going to see the same thing for your labor, your sublet, and of course some of the standardized columns in here. It's all dollar values, it's all percentages, all worthful usable information. But again, look at all the information. Sometimes we get a little confused with that, so what I always like to do is go up to the column chooser. Let's get rid of all of it and start over. In this case, I'm going to bring again my profit center, my service category, and what I want to look at again, let's start with the totals. So I'm going to go in and say I want to look at the total sales last year, the total sales dollar difference, and the percentage difference. And by setting up that report, now I took that big grid of information and I've narrowed it down to what I want to analyze. Again, it's always good to get your summaries. This one does not have a summary. So from the summary screen, we identify which columns do we want to show in a summary. I want to show my total sales, and that will be a sum because it's dollar values. I want to show my total sales last year. Again, a sum because it's all dollar values. I want to show my difference, which is a dollar value, which will be a sum. Okay. I'm going to leave the total difference alone for just a minute because I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. And then I want to take these columns summarized. And again, I personally just like to put them on the top. Okay. Now I see my total sales for this year, last month. It's kind of like the same thing we saw in the previous report. I see my total sales for last year, same month. I see here I've sold $36,499 more this year than I did last year for March. March being the last month in this case. Now, if we look over here at the differences, you're seeing the individual service categories. Okay, so you can see that. When you do a percentage summary, it's really going to have to be a formula. So if I go back to my summary, if I want to summarize this column, let me just show you some things so you can see how this works. If I want to go to that difference percentage, okay, it's not a sum because it's not a dollar value or an addition, okay? There is an average. And when I first started working with the reports, I thought, well, geez, that'll work, okay? So I'm going to do my average, okay? I want you guys to all take note of that number. I'm going to write it down. That's 48.77%. That is basically taking an average of all the numbers in this column, but that's not always going to be accurate. So when you get to the percentage columns, I'm going to go back to the summary, and we want to try and understand how that works. So I'm going to take that percentage difference, and I'm going to remove it. I'm going to go back into my summary for the difference, and I'm going to actually do a formula. It's a fairly simple formula. When I say add, the system says, okay, what formula do you want? What I want to know is how much percentage difference I did. So what I want to do with this is I want to take the total difference, okay, which is the 36,000, and I'm going to insert that, and then I'm going to divide it by the total last year. That then tells me my accurate percentage. Everybody watch the 4877, which is the average, okay? And when I bring that formula up, okay, notice it really wasn't 48.7. The increase is 31.09. So I bring that to your attention because this is a mistake I made early on. Under your percentages, be careful using averages because they are probably not going to be accurate. Okay, so now I see some of these bits of information. If this is the report I want, go up, save the layout, make sure you check the box for the values. Again, I saved this report earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and override it, and now that's moved up to my reports. Okay, so when you save them, they get moved up. Now, I can take that report from my reports, and again, this is great. Do I want to look at any other information? I certainly can. Okay, so maybe I want to, again, remove some columns, or maybe I just want to add some new columns. Okay, I want to look at my gross profit this year, my gross profit last year, my gross profit difference. Okay, again, here's a percentage which you would have to do a formula for, and I like to focus on my parts gross profit. Okay, so I'm going to add those columns. If I wanted to move the totals, I can remove them. So I can manipulate this report however I want. And when I get the change, now I can see. Now, again, these columns were not part of the summary. This is all the total sales stuff. So if I want these totals to come up, then I'm going to summarize those columns. Okay, so it's just a matter of going in and adding them. Okay, and let's look at, no, that's fine for right now. Okay, so now I'm starting to see these. So now I see, a while ago I was looking at the sales, now I'm looking at the gross profit dollars. So again, I made $100,000, a little over $100,000, where last year I only made 75. That's a difference of almost $25,000. Where are the big differences? Okay, so I can see I've improved 54.12%. Okay, on my oil changes. So you just look at the numbers. That's really what you're doing. Obviously, you need to know your benchmarks, okay, what's good, what's bad. But a lot of times, if you can pull your averages, then you're going to be able to see below. If I've got an average, then I can go below and see where my opportunities lie. I always want to stay in the zone of that average if it's a good average. If not, maybe I need to improve on everything. Okay, so keep in mind, you know, use your column chooser, set your summary, bottom or top, wherever there are percentages, you're going to need to build the formulas. They're pretty easy to do. Okay, and then if you like the layout of the report, go ahead and save it. That then gives you the ability to go back to that report, okay, and start at your benchmark. And then, of course, like I say, you can go back in and change things around. But it's always going to save the original report that you started. So this is really a nice report to take a look at. I encourage you guys to get in, start working with these. I'll bring my totals back on just as a final review. And again, remember, you can move your totals or your columns around wherever you want. Those are your choices, however you want to organize your chart. So I hope you'll take advantage of some of these. Start with the simple stuff, column choosers, summaries. If you want to get into some formulas, the only way you're going to learn is to get in and you know, just like riding a bicycle, you're probably going to fall off once or twice. Let us know where we can help. The next report I want to go to, okay, is going to be the vital signs by invoice summary. Okay, so let's run that report. Let's open it up in a new window so we keep our old reports in. Okay, identify your date range. Again, I'm going to just stick with last month. I'll stay consistent with the information, and I'll run and execute. I want to talk about this report for a minute because there's some information you really need to know. Okay, number one, let's focus on the invoice count. This is your starting invoice. This is your ending invoice number for this period of time. So that gives us 328 posted invoices for this period of time. When you look at the net total, okay, when you look at the net total, this is all invoices posted, including credit slips, okay? Let me just prove my point. If I go up to invoice count, I do a drill down to the invoice detail. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my type, drag it up. That becomes a sorting, and you can see there are 2 credit invoices in there. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these values. This does include credit invoices. Okay, your net total is service package sales only. What I mean by that is this total includes parts, labor, and sublet sales only. So that value divided by the number of invoices said true sales, parts, labor, and sublet, your average sale is $469.22. The revenue total includes parts, labor, and sublet, and any other charges, shop supplies, disposal fees, those additional charges, money that you keep. So that value divided by the number of invoices says my average is $477.84. The invoice total column includes all the sales, parts, labor, and sublet. It also includes your other charges, and it also includes any taxes. Okay, so the total, or excuse me, the invoice total here divided by the 328 says I made an average of $496. Now keep in mind that $496.69 includes other charges and taxes. So I just want to make sure you guys understand where these values are coming from. This is the true sale average invoice right here. This one includes the other charges. This one includes the other charges and the taxes. And remember, wherever you're at in the system, okay, you have the ability to do a drill down to get your details.